Okay, I'll call the meeting of the Carroll County EDA to order. Let's stand and have our pledge and invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Collins, would you lead us?
Father, thank you for this opportunity to be here again today, Lord, to address the business of the county, the EDA. We just pray that you would give us guidance and direction. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, next item on our agenda is citizens' time. If we have citizens, if you would come forward, state your name, and we'll limit your verbal presentation to 5 minutes. If that's not sufficient, you can submit a written report to be included in the record. Is there any citizens' comments?
First of all, my name is Stephen Gregson. Mr. Chairman, I just first want to thank Mr. Collins that had suggested I come to the board to speak directly to you all with some of my concerns. My concerns are, where was the transparency and what was the hurry during the process of hiring the part-time executive director? Was it due to the theory that someone needed to leave to attend to their cattle, or had someone chosen a candidate and was willing to go to the altar for them, especially without proper disclosure? One of the quotes that was given to me is only one applicant came in December. Now, by the way, from our business experience in the past, the worst time to put out a job posting is November and December because of the holidays. And most companies will tell you that they pretty much wait till after January 1st just because the pool's a lot larger. And that's because many people are either in a buyout or in their final phases. They can't interview with somebody else according to what their contract is. I want to go over some history first, and then I'd like to close with some questions and some quotes. On November 2nd, 2020, EDA meeting minutes reflect that, quote, the duties of the executive director were submitted by Mr. Edwards to review so that this can be sent to the Board of Supervisors, in a quote. Now, there was no copy that in those attachments that the public can see, so we never saw what that job description was. Mr. Dalton went on and he stated that he would submit those to the Board of Supervisors on behalf of the authority. And a motion by Mr. Collins, second by Ms. Carter, up to 30 hours weekly was reported to the EDA board, and we, the board, meaning the authority, in turn would report to the Board of Supervisors. That passed. Motion by Mr. Collins, second by Mr. Sowers, to advertise the position, quote, if the board approves for 30 days, then proceed with hiring. Why 30 days? What was the hurry? On November 9th, the Board of Supervisors, 7 days later, had a meeting, and Mr. Dalton stated that you have a job description in front of them, which was not in our packet, and the public did not see it either. The motion was made by Mr. Moore, second by Mr. Hill, quote, to approve the EDA to advertise and to hire a part-time executive director to be paid by the EDA board. On December 7th, now this is about 28 days after their motion, in the meeting minutes of the EDA, and it addresses the part-time director. And quote, Mr. Collins asked if we were in a process, have a process of interviewing the part-time director. Mr. Dalton advised everybody to review the application, and we could possibly set a date to look at those, then interview. Mr. Collins suggested setting a date next week to review what we have. Interesting that the motion advertising hasn't run its course, and we have an inquiry about interviewing. What was the hurry? Approximately January 19th, between the 16th and 19th, the EDA had notified the Carroll County HR department that the EDA board had closed the position without a meeting or without any public record of that. So the only thing we can see, or I can see, and others, is that there was some kind of verbal that was told, but there was no record of the EDA closing that or even opening it. So there was no meeting, no record in the first meeting on January 1st. There was none on the second meeting in February 1st. The county website still stated that position open until filled. So why did the EDA or a member of the EDA take it on themselves to go against the county policy? February 1st, 2021, the EDA meeting, and this is the first time that we hear about an MOU. And let me be very clear. I have no problems with MOU. I think the MOU is legal. It's in the Code of Virginia. I think it's a great tool to use, and I'm glad that the county is looking into these in areas. Mr. Collins made a motion. Mr. Sowers made a second to approve the MOU between the EDA and the Board of Supervisors regarding the employment of a part-time executive director and authorization of the chairman to sign the agreement, with one provision to provide reimbursement to the county of the compensation to the employee as voted, to allow the chairman to sign the agreement with one provision to provide reimbursement to the county of the compensation to the employee, in a quote. The MOU, as I said, was not attached to the minutes, and there was nothing in the agenda packet to this meeting, so the citizens never saw the MOU or what was in the MOU. On February 22nd, 2021, the BOS meeting, somebody from the EDA brought in a new employee in a closed session, which was never one called, to the Board of Supervisors, and announced that the individual is the new hire for the part-time executive director of the EDA. The Board of Supervisors was allowed and encouraged to ask questions. There's no way that this was acceptable because the closed session was never called, number one, and it's not allowed under the code for that particular reason. On March 1st, 2021, the EDA meeting, the new employee was announced and welcomed to the first meeting. Crystal noted this in the Board of Supervisors meeting when she was asked the question if the person had been announced yet. And he was brought in to your meeting and announced. On March 8th, the BOS meeting, in the consent calendar under Personnel, Economic Development Authority, Donald Bryant hired part-time executive director, $30.26 an hour, effective February 23rd, 2021. In F, the amend budget, there was a EDA, from the amended budget, that's the header, EDA. There's a letter from Mr. Dalton to Mr. Watson with a request to create line code for a part-time executive director, which was voted on and passed by the Board of Supervisors. In H, the MOU, the joint employment, this is the first time that the citizens have seen the MOU. The MOU not only covers to March 1st, 21, has many issues within the county attorney is actually on record agreeing that there's some issues with that particular agreement. I go back to Lincoln, and Mr. Donald Bryan shows that his education was at Carroll County High School from 2007 and graduated in 2009, and attended Whitfield Community College with Associates of Science degree in AS and Clinical Medical Laboratory Technician from 2016 to 2018. Also, there's been a mention that Mr. Bryan attended Old Dominion University with an economics major, but then had to come back to family matters here back in Carroll County. He's been employed by the Results Company, which is first and only employer that he's worked with since getting out of high school at Carroll County High School, and that was from May 10th to February 29th. And the reason I lay this all out is here are my questions and thoughts. The motion in November of 2020 only covered the position be advertised for 30 days. Why is this not against the county policy of applications open till filled, or applications accepted till the position is filled? Why were other candidates' resumes allowed after the 30 days and others not? Where was the motion to reopen and close the applications? The MOU only covers back to March 1st. So who is liable for paying an employee without authorization? Without authorization. Who signed the payroll without authorization? Approval for the allowance of the budget request was not approved until March 8th at the Board of Supervisors meeting. Who is liable for allowing this to happen? Who is liable for the February 23rd to the March 8th period, which those were paid? And those are assumptions at this point because I haven't seen any checks. Does anyone want to discuss what they knew about any candidate that they did not disclose to the authority? Time is now to disclose, to be transparent. Did Carroll County learn from the previous Board of Supervisors who hired Mr. Truitt in confusing a degree in economics with economic development? Much less failed to do a complete background check with regards to the California and the Vatican federal lawsuit that he was involved in. Can someone explain to the citizens how the first applicant was hired without meeting the requirements of the job description? If not the first, why were other candidates overlooked and could pass a background check and meet the job description requirements as posted? Some people might think that the process was done correctly. If that was true, wouldn't the outcomes meet the job description? In closing, I must use a quote from one of our newest residents in Washington, D.C. Come on, man. But prefer to close with a better, more positive quote from Dr. Billy Graham. And his quote is on integrity. Integrity is the glue that holds our way of life together. What our young people want to see in their elders is integrity, honesty, truthfulness, and faith. What they hate most of all is hypocrisy and phoniness. Let them see us doing what we would like them to do, end of quote. Thank you for your attention and look forward to the answers.
Thank you for your comments. Next item of business is unfinished business. Mr. Bryant, do you have any unfinished items?
I wanted to talk about Vanguard, another item on the agenda.
Okay, we'll do that under new business then. I'm going to defer the minutes of March 1st until the next meeting.
Why are we deferring?
Pardon?
Why are we deferring?
There's some discrepancy in the items that should have been prepared by the previous executive director, and it was not.
Okay,
So we're going to have to go through that, and under my authority as the chairman, I'm going to defer those. We're going to move on to new business. Treasurer's report.
I have a problem with that, Larry. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm the chairman.
I'm not being disrespectful to you, and I would appreciate you not being disrespectful to me.
If
the minutes are not available for the March 1st meeting, then the MOU is void. We voted on the MOU at the March 1st meeting. Now, Michelle Dalton told me today that there was a recording because Crystal was there with her camcorder. Did that not take?
I think we have about 2 minutes of it.
So, this is nothing against you, Donnie, at all, I promise. Okay. But it's about being right.
Okay.
So if we don't have a record of the MOU, then Donnie should not even be here.
If the board wants to override me postponing minutes, I'll be happy to entertain a motion to that effect. If not, they are postponed to the following minute. No, you've had your say.
No, point of order on this issue.
No, sit down, sir.
Point of order.
Mr. Gregson, you're not a member of the public body.
I am a member of the public body.
This is the public body.
Oh, I'm a citizen.
Yes, you're a citizen.
And I have a right at a meeting under Robert's rules to bring up a point of order on a technicality.
That is the right of the board member.
No, that's not what you know better than that. You know better than that. That's not true.
It's the right of the board member.
It's not right of the board member. Point of order.
Mr. Gregson,
Under Robert's rules, point of order has to be accepted. Only I'm going to say is.
Are you a
deferring to council?
Sir, are you a citizen of the state of Virginia?
Am I a citizen of the state of Virginia?
Are you a resident of the state of Virginia?
No, I am a property owner and pay taxes in this
Okay.
state of Virginia.
Okay.
And I have a right, as a property owner, to speak. If I didn't have a right, Mr. Chairman, I should never have the opportunity to speak in front of this thing. If you knew that prior to, why didn't you bring that up prior to?
I extended to you a courtesy.
As a courtesy. So you're pulling a courtesy away? Is that what we're saying?
What's your point of order?
Point of order is, I'd like to defer to whoever the parliamentarian is to say that this is within Robert's rules. If Mr. Steve,
We'll defer to legal counsel.
Okay, thank you.
If a member of the public does not raise a point of order, a member of the board wishes to raise a point of order as far as to overrule the motion of the chairman, then that is subject to a motion.
Okay, Mandy, are you raising a point of order?
What would the motion be, Steve?
The motion would be that, well, I think what you're asking is to overrule the ruling of the chairman.
So I guess what my question is, if we don't have minutes now, how are we going to have them in May?
We'll reconstruct them from the agenda, from everyone's memory.
So we're just making it up?
Then you'll have the opportunity to amend those minutes.
Does anybody else on the board have notes from our last meeting? Can I speak up? Am I allowed to?
Sure, Donnie,
Hope
please.
you guys are doing well. My point of confusion is why would I be expected to put minutes together before I had this job? The resolution was introduced when we were at Bridges for Eternity.
You're right.
Why would I be taking minutes before I was hired?
When did we meet after that? March the,
We came back. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, yeah, I haven't been in any meetings to formally
so
take minutes.
as you and I discussed in email today,
I wouldn't call it a discussion.
and I'm not being disrespectful,
Okay.
but you were aware of the job description. You originally told me that you didn't know. Then you told me that you did. So assuming, if anybody makes an assumption, we're all going to look like a fool, and we already do.
Okay. Mr. Bryant, what was your official first day of work?
My official first day at work was, I would have to look at the time card. Give me just a moment.
Would it have been March 8th?
That sounds about right. I just don't want to give seems
Okay.
like a bad time.
So we couldn't expect Mr. Bryant to have minutes for the first and the 2nd of March, which was the 2 days that we had.
So he
The
wasn't getting paid for being at those meetings?
responsibility for the minutes was with the executive director at that point in time and the person who typically did the minutes, and that was not Mr. Bryant.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. This is the technical job.
Sit down. You're interrupting the meeting. You had your time.
In my presentation, the Board of Supervisors on February 22nd hired Mr. Bryant. That's in the record.
Okay, we're going to move on to the treasurer's report unless the board wishes to have a motion for me to not approve the minutes until next month. Is there such a motion? Okay, moving forward with new business, treasurer's report, Ms. West.
I don't have it. I'll go to it. Okay, did you find your packet? Okay, on your claims list, the first two items on the list are electric bills. As you know, we're working our way through. Some of them are prepaid, some of them are postpaid. It depends on when I get the bills, and some of them when they're due based on our meetings. So in this case, both of these are advances for April because I don't have the bills yet. We've already paid the March. The next item is an Amazon bill that was directed to me and asked that we pay it directly to Amazon. It was for a purchase made by the county, but it was for supplies for the EDA. You should have a copy of that in your packet. The next item was also payable to Carroll County. This was reimbursement for some business cards and an organizer that they purchased on behalf of the EDA. And the next item is for credit reports that I did not see those reports. I was just given the bill, so I don't know on whom those reports were. But this was for 3 credit reports, and we were reimbursing the county for those. The next 2 items are the CenturyLink fire alarm over at the Child Care Center. The next 3 items, I'm sorry. The next item after that is Mr. Mike Nunn, who apparently was hired to remove some white pines over at the Woodlawn School on the 2-acre parcel. I believe that's the piece across the street. I don't know if that's preparatory to the sale or is that what that was for? But he did submit. If you're looking at your bill copy, I did white out a line there, and the reason for that is he put his Social Security number on that, and that should not be in our records, our permanent records. So I kept a digital copy of that, so I do have it in order to issue a 1099, but I whited that out for the records. Let's see, the next item was ProTech. This was to replace some smoke detectors apparently that were defective at the Child Care Center. And the next item is a bill. I want to explain a little bit about this bill. This is the Sands Anderson bill, and you have a copy of it in your packet. Sometime back, I had contacted an individual with Sands Anderson that's responsible for their processing, accounting, and so forth. There was apparently the way it was explained to me, there was a transition in their billing system. and this goes back quite a ways now. I think it goes back to November. But in that transition, there was a bill that we got in 1 month that actually contained all of the billings from the previous month. And when I was reviewing that, and usually I kind of glance over what's on the bill, and I noticed repeats. And so I audited the entire thing, and I did get a hold of someone, and they explained that that's what had happened. Well, that was $3,048. And at that particular time, we weren't doing a lot of active legal work, so it took a little while. And I gave you a list. I hand wrote on the list how we applied those credits to the bills that came in from Sands Anderson. And I do think that I sent a physical copy, in the mail to the individual I spoke to about the documents that I had. But nonetheless, I'll follow up and make sure if I didn't that I do that again. But so after applying those bills, what you're seeing here is what's left from the open bill. And I'll get that all worked out with them. But that's the reason why your paperwork doesn't have the same number on it as the check. The next item is the Cana Rescue installment to Skyline Bank. That's a monthly amount that we do every month. Next item is my bill from March, and it was time to buy y'all some stamps. It's costing $1 and some cents now every 2 envelopes. So, but there is a receipt for that in your documents. And also, just as a heads up, I did have to order checks this time. I don't have a receipt for those yet, so I didn't put them on here. I had to charge them to my credit card because my address and the IDA's address and the bank account are not all the same. So I'll have a receipt for that next time. I'll be asking for reimbursement for that. The next item is the Carroll County. Now, this is, if you recall, we went through that confusion over the extra payments for the Vanguard building, the loan to Carroll County, and it was resolved. This came up during the audit. It was resolved that we would just issue a credit for the overpayments. The overpayments were the result of the fact that Vanguard's increases every 2 years, and I was given to understand that ours was supposed to proportionately increase for the county as well, and the auditor said no, that was not what the records show. And the only thing I had on that were some emails between Gary Guru and myself. So they went back, we calculated that number, we agreed on that number, and submitted that to the county. And the amount of that has now been used up. So where this is normally, and this will revert to the original payment amount, which is $10,606 a month, where this would normally be $10,606. The reason you're seeing $1,200 is because we used up the last of that credit. Going forward, it'll be the regular amount each month. The next 3 items are the ACHs that are coming from USDA, one for the fire truck, one for the new bus, they're not new anymore, the bus note, the most recent bus note, and the bond payment for Carroll County High School. Wow, which gives us, it's like all over. That gives us claims of $41,218.94. Questions? Excuse me just a moment.
Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the report.
I'll make a motion we approve that report, Larry.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the report, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion is carried. Report is approved.
Oh, dear. Page 2 of the treasurer's report is missing in my copy. Do you all have it? It went through the copy machine, but apparently I've just got down to income. Do you have the second page? Does anybody have the second page?
Here, you can have mine if you.
That's embarrassing. Okay, so we began the month with funds balance of $1,079,777. Restricted funds out of that are $243,821, which leaves us operating capital of $835,956. The Vanguard, I want to let you know that all of those did work. I think I reported to the board last time about the problem with the ACH and a transition that had happened at Skyline Bank, and we didn't get it renewed and yada yada. But in the meantime, we got all that worked out. The bank and myself and the lady over at Vanguard, we were all watching to make sure everything worked, and it did. And so all of the ACHs they did authorize us to go ahead and take all of the arrears. Well, it wasn't their fault. It wasn't really arrears, but take the missing amounts. And now it is working, and I checked April 1st, and April 1st came in as well. So it looks like that's all been fixed. Little Tykes does not have income because they pay in advance. Holiday Trees doesn't have income because in the banking world with the auto stuff, if a bank day is not the day that the payment's supposed to arrive, they back it up to the previous day that is a bank day. And so Holiday Trees got one ahead in February. They paid their February and their March in February. So now they are caught up. It just doesn't look like it on here. The Carroll County fire truck payment, I need to have a discussion with somebody about that. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that one because I haven't been getting them, and the auditors made an entry on it, and I think some of it might be my confusion. You would know. Which truck got wrecked?
Hillsville.
Okay, that's not this.
No, it's not.
Okay, I want to be sure that I wasn't, because we are still paying USDA for that truck, or for this loan.
Right.
I want to make sure that it's
Yeah.
the right truck. Okay, I'll look into that with Felicia. Carroll County High Schools, that one also, I have the check in my paperwork here. Because our meeting was so early in March, that did not get in time for me to get it to the bank for this report, for the March report. It goes into April along with the April payment, so there'll be 2 of them in April. So that's the reason why that column looks a little lean this month. On the expense side, there's nothing in the expenses that's unusual and worth reporting on. It's just the regular stuff. There's no, no ordinary, unusual. I'm trying to say 2 words at the same time. In the debt payments, the standard payments to the USDA, which are the 3 that they take directly from our account, as well as the payment to the Cana Rescue Squad. I'm sorry, not to the Cana Rescue Squad, for the Cana Rescue Building. $32,108, and the monthly standard entry that we have to do for the USDA Carroll County High School bond, I'm sorry, not USDA, Carroll County High School bond reserve that we have to keep until we have a year's worth of payments. And that leaves us with operating capital of $1,063,918, restricted funds of $246,147, and approved. We didn't approve the claims. I can't say that yet. You want to do that first?
See.
I was going to say the claims that you just approved, but we didn't do it.
We did.
You did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I am in space somewhere. up here.
You stepped over here.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
The claims that you just approved for $41,218.94. We also have designated incentive funds for $97,295.41, which we cannot spend. And so our funds available is $679,256.95. It's been a long tax season, folks, I'm sorry.
Any questions? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the financial report.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the financial report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion is carried. Okay, the next item of new business is Vanguard Construction. Mr. Bryant, you want to give us an update on that?
Sure. So to catch everyone up, there are 2 issues I want to talk about with Vanguard today. The first that we've dealt with for the last few weeks, we're experiencing issues with sewer backup in one of the lines at the Vanguard plant, and we believe this may be related to the construction of 2 bathrooms at the plant. Tim Parnell and myself have spent a lot of time over at the plant over the last few weeks, and he tells me that we're going to need to dig to have a new sewer line installed. So that is issue 1. And then the second issue was Brian Horn, plant superintendent at Vanguard. They have a parking lot that is in dire need of some light grading and spreading of gravel to expand their parking ability. So those are the 2 issues at the front of Vanguard right now, and we do have some retained funds, according to Mike Watson, the tune of $97,000 that we could use to pay for those projects. that all we need to do is agree to do that, and then we need to hire a team to grade the parking lot and put the new line in. And that's what I have for Vanguard.
Okay, questions?
What would be the process to do that?
For the sewer line?
And paving.
At this point, what we're waiting on is just Brian the other day asked if we would hire a team. Mike told me to go to Brian and see if he wanted to handle contracting it out or if we were going to do it. So that's where we're at now. We just need to hire a team to do this.
So are we going to run an ad for bids or?
We can, I know that we have some. We had like the RFPs that we could look into to see if there's anyone there that we could talk to, or we might need to advertise for those services.
The RFP, is that what Martin and I did? Because that was just auctioneer,
Yeah, it's
a surveyor,
engineers.
and
Okay. Then
What
yeah,
was
we
the
would need
third?
to advertise.
Auction,
For those.
surveying, development.
so that would be separate. So
That
we
would
would
be
need to
yeah.
issue another.
Yeah. I think we would want to get competitive bids unless county employees wanted to be involved.
Okay.
Is there a time frame if you put out bids? Is it 30 days?
Is
I think
the
it
sewer
depends on the
issue
size of
an
the
emergency
project.
situation?
The size?
It's just causing
Dollar
a certain
amount, how
level
much?
of discomfort.
Oh, okay.
If it's under, if it's under a certain dollar amount, you just have to have 3 quotes, is that correct? How is?
I want to say we updated the county small purchase policy within the last year on that. I think the EDA followed that.
Okay.
So I would, and off the top of my head, I'm not sure where the county set those dollar amounts.
Right,
The flexibility under $200,000 to use small purchase.
right.
So my recommendation would be to refer to the county purchasing manual to see if we've got a small purchase situation. Otherwise, I wouldn't get do an indication bid unless the sewer line, I think the CSA might do that work.
Okay. Yep.
And that would be a conversation to have with the CSA. Unless county staff were to perform the parking lot work, that would be something that you want to follow your purchase.
So is that an urgent matter?
The sewer line is more urgent than the parking lot work, but the sewer line is just causing certain discomfort, mainly when it rains. So neither of these are impacting production or the ability for things to get done. But these are 2 things that they're going to want to work out sooner rather than later. The sewer will probably get worse before the parking lot does. So we just need to refer to the county purchasing manual and make sure that this counts as a small purchase.
That's right.
We can talk about it more
Yeah.
outside of session, but depending on where that falls under the purchasing requirements, that we have to give you some guidance on that. If it falls under small purchase, I would recommend you come back to at the next meeting and quote.
Okay. Great, thank you.
If not, we can advise the board on that as far as approval.
Okay, thank you. That is all I had for Vanguard.
Okay. So if you'll take care of those items, and
Will do.
if you need to come back to the next session, well, we can do so. Okay, next item on the agenda is closed session under Virginia Code 2.23711, Section 5 and Section 8. We will move to closed session upon a motion by the board.
Under subsection 8, what general topics would that advice on I would suggest I'd like to give you an update on the status of Virginia produce agreement, but if there's other legal matters, there's some general description.
Yeah, okay. Do I have a motion that we go into closed session?
I make that motion.
Is there a second? All those in favor of going into closed session, please say aye. All opposed, no. Okay, we'll adjourn into closed session. Okay, we've had a motion, second, and approval unanimously to come out of closed session. Whereas the Carroll County EDA Board convened a closed session April 5th, 2021, pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote on the motion to close the meeting in accordance with Virginia Freedom of Information Act. Whereas Section 2.2, 3711A8 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the board that such closed session was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Carroll County EDA hereby certifies to the best of each member's knowledge only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under Virginia Freedom of Information Act were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed session to which this certification applies. 2, only such matters as were identified in the motion by which this closed session was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting to which this certification applies. If you would each individually certify. Mr. Sowers?
I certify.
Mr. Collins?
I certify.
Ms. McGraw?
I certify.
Mr. Hall?
Certify.
Ms. Carter? Mr. Martin?
I certify.
And I certify. Okay, I would entertain a motion that we move into closed session under Section 2.2-3711A1 and A3. Do I have such a motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion we go into closed session for A1 personnel issue and A3 disposal of public-owned real estate, 2 separate EDA properties.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. We go into closed session for A1 and A3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We'll move into closed session. Whereas the Carroll County EDA Board convened a closed session this date, April 5th, 2021, to affirm the recorded vote on the motion to close the meeting in accordance with the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. Whereas Section 2.23711 A1 A3 requires a certification by the board that such closed session was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Carroll County EDA Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed session to which this certification applies. Only such business matters as were identified in the motion by which this closed session was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting to which this certification applies. And if each one of you would certify individually. Mr. Sowers,
I certify.
Mr. Collins,
I certify.
Mr. Carroll,
I certify.
Mr. Hall,
Certify.
Ms. Carter, Mr.
I certify.
And I certify. Okay, we're in closed session, or in open session, excuse me. We've been in closed sessions long. Have a couple of other items that we need to address. Mr. Bryant, you want to elaborate on? I think we have a request from Little Tykes to locate a storage building on the property.
Inside the building, she has classrooms that she's not able to use at the moment. She's just requested permission to erect like a temporary storage facility on the land, so she doesn't have to dump this stuff out outside. That was really all of it. She didn't specify she would need more than one for the dimensions of the building.
And this was at her cost?
I'll entertain a motion if you wish to allow that, and then we can have discussion if you have any questions. Do I have a motion to allow her to locate a storage building on the property at her expense and maintain the maintenance?
I'll make the motion that we enter into that discussion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye, or well, excuse me, is there any discussion or any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion is carried, and we would allow her to place the building on the property. Okay. And I think we had a request for a portion of the EDA-owned property.
Yes, so going back to New Redeemer, I believe, 11.6 acres near the farmer's market, the parcel ID is looking to sell this for
Please.
And for clarity, that would be a lease for the summer season or the calendar year 2021. What was the term, I guess?
We didn't actually specify for the remainder of the year, though.
The other one is by the year, if that matters.
Do we want to start the year now, or do we want to go through December 31st? Go through December 31st?
I would think December 31, basically for this growing season, and it's, it's almost over in Thanksgiving, but it wouldn't hurt to extend it through the end of the year.
I'll make that motion that we do the lease for $1,000 a year with Mr. Beamer.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to lease the property, I guess, behind the gas offices.
We need to
To
include
Mr.
that parcel number.
You want to list the
Include that
parcel number?
with that motion, if you would.
Do you, okay, do you have the parcel number on that?
Yes, it's 82-42-.
Okay, then that will identify the parcel. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. All opposed, no. Motion is carried.
Oh, I had just thought of something. I'm sorry. Is it too late? There's a tree stand on that piece of property that needs to come off. Is it? Do you know if it was removed yet?
I think it's still there.
Can you check on that, please?
We'll be instructing, I think at a previous meeting, that the board voted not to allow hunting
Right.
on any of the EDA properties. So anyone involved with that property will be notified as such. And also the Sheriff's Department and the Hillsville Police Department, because we had a request from them as to what our policy was. So we'll be identifying that to them as well.
And then that should also be reflected in the lease, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Although the vote would supersede
Right.
anything else.
Right.
Okay. I don't have any additional items. I'll entertain a motion of adjournment at this time.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion is adjourned.